What's up? I'm astrologer David Palmer, the Leo King, and I'm here to talk about a lot of the crazy times we're going through, and I've been connecting some dots together. That's what I do as a freaking astrologer, is I have to connect all these dots. Whether it's through the past, one thing that got me into astrology was the past. History. I'm a historian. In many ways, I was going to major in college as a history major because I was totally like this Indiana Jones character. And in many ways, astrology is deeper than I could have ever gone into history because I can connect every event in history to the planets, to the stars, to what's going on in our lives. And chaos is one aspect of this change we're going through, especially with Pluto and Uranus. And it's the breaking down of the identity of the planet, the identity of the reality, the identity of this third dimension, the identity of pretty much everything that we've come to understand. There is this chaotic event happening where the whole entire Earth right now is going through change. The whole entire stratosphere of our solar system, of our galactic system, is stepping into this new age. Now, it's so interesting to see in how history the same patterns have happened. Rome falling. The same connection that we're starting to see with America. I mean, it's pretty crazy that we see America as the reincarnation of Rome. I mean, it is exactly. With sports and spas and leisure and even the same buildings, for God's sake, even senates and, governments having this government work and then having leaders come up and take over and turn into emperors like Julius Caesar. I mean, I've been connecting the dots with Julius Caesar, and in many ways, I don't want to just say it's Obama, but I don't care what you think about politics. The truth is we have leaders come now on screen and just push what they want and say it's the way and think that they can get away with whatever they want now, when it's not based off that way. Whatever's happening in our government right now, it is the people that needs to make the call. If a lot of people don't like it, then you know what? It should be heard. And in many ways, we're starting to see dictatorship here in this last century really become strong. And these patterns are happening all over again in the past. But it's the chaos I want to get deep into right now. Whenever you do a hallucinogen, the scariest thing of the hallucinogen is the beginning. Because you are disconnecting from your identity of what you see and how your reality is and who you are. You lose that. It's called cracking the ego, dissolving the ego. And it's scary. I've been there. Trust me on that one. I've been there. It's the scariest feeling of your life. But it is when you crack this identity and step into your raw spirit, and you leave your understanding of identification and come into your pure essence, it feels like heaven. You're pure. You're free. You're childlike. You're laughing. You're laughing. It is fear that restricts us of this laughing. It is fear that restricts us of really living in our free energy and soul. It is our identification, which is breaking now as a species, which is breaking now as a universe, which is breaking now as a government, which is breaking now as an identity of yourself, forcing to re-identify with more the pure and unique soul that you are. And this is breaking down structures that have been in place for hundreds of years, and in many ways, because this is a new age, thousands of years, and because it's at a galactic shift point, a whole cycle of time structure breaking. So the patterns of chaos have reached incredible levels to where this dissolving is dissolving everywhere in our lives. And it is you trying to hold on to this identity that is restricting you from your freedom in your life. We have to completely dissolve this identification of what we were and what we are in order to step into the truth of what we really are and what we really must do here to realign our planet and our earth. Reincarnation is not crazy. I brought up Cleopatra in my Facebook page because it was so crazy. I was sitting around my house on the weekend, and I sometimes decide to, especially because I work a lot, I do astrology videos every day, I do about 20 to 30 readings a week, no joke. In the last couple of weeks, I've been doing 30 a week. So I'm in the lives of a lot of people every week. I'm doing a full-time job of readings and the horoscope and the editing. When I have a day off, believe it or not, I used to want to go out and do all this, but a lot of this is I want to channel more spirit because this is such an important time. And channeling spirit in this last weekend brought me to Cleopatra's story. And it brought me to a story of a woman who actually did not come from the energy of Egypt. She came from more of the Western Roman energies, the Greek energies, and happened to be the last pharaoh in Egypt. But had multiple love affairs, got intertwined with the politics of Julius Caesar and then, of course, Mark Antony. And it goes into this deep story of this really powerful karmic connection between leaders and people. But more importantly, this is starting to connect with this divine feminine I see that didn't get to come out then. You know, then the masculine took over. It was like, it didn't matter if Julius Caesar did what he did with her brother to get her in power. Her powers, somehow she still needed the energy of the man next to her. Or the energy of somebody else. We seemed to see this through history of connections or the masculine driving force leading the way. And it is now where we see this revolution for the female role to become empowered and to become powerful. And it is this divine feminine that is coming out now, and this reincarnation of, and then it was Isis, and now we're seeing reincarnations of governments, whether it's Rome and America, whether it's people coming out on channels like this and saying the reincarnation of angels or past leaders. Believe it or not, it's very true. And a lot of this is a new identification, a new age. And the fears you're going through is when you try to hold on to an identity that is supposed to collapse. Now, identification is everything from, this is a roll of tape that I used to put up my microphone under here. This is my Canon lens cap. We know this because, well, because it's identified. You know, we know my hair is brown. We know my eyes are hazel. You know, it's the identification of where you do not deny this. It has been understood as that. But what freaks people out is when you look at it and it doesn't hold that same identity anymore. Hence, when you're on a hallucinogen, doesn't matter which one you're at, you start to see it differently. You start to see behind the identity. You start to see behind the purpose. What's behind the curtain. And that's why, in many ways, many people believe in hallucinogens as one of the greatest spiritual awakeners. For others, it completely ruins their life because they've lost their full identity of how this life is. But the positive in all this is to understand the background of what's going on in our lives of chaos right now, which it's actually not chaos. We think it's chaos, we feel it's chaos, we look at it as chaos. But what it is the unveiling of a new identity and the breaking down of an old one in every way possible, of earth, of identity, of the human species, of governments, of weather, of electronics, of technology, of looks, of health, of all of this. And so the reincarnation energy is happening also in where we were at in a time that has been lost. If we were to turn back the cycles of time to the exact same place this has been before, because believe it or not, this is an infinity universe, and it repeats itself. And we have been here before. Now, the circumstances have changed, I'm sure. And sometimes what I channel, we could have all been here before and I could have done the same video and it's just on replay and God's just playing the tape on replay and it's just playing it all over again. And maybe I've been here and I've said this before. But the important aspect is to understand we have been here in time before. And it's time to reinvent the identity of what this time is. It's a new day. And to not be afraid in your life to create this new day, to step into your past and understand how to define your new future, to step into your power of self and leave behind the old self that you've been in this life, as you are lucky enough to go through a rebirthing alive in this life. A rebirthing of a whole new time period, a whole new age, and a whole new day. You're blessed to have this opportunity, and we're all blessed to be here right now. And we're here to find empowerment in ourselves and to have partnerships of empowerment in self, where masculine or feminine is not the leader, but together as one. And it takes us acknowledging the feminine, though, which I think part of our masculine side has not for a long time. And it's going to take extreme amounts of connections to spirituality and soul. We're seeing it in our medical industry now, where, it's funny. The last time Pluto and Uranus were in a square was in the 20s, created a lot of the things like the Great Depression. It's interesting to see that this is also when Neptune had gone through Virgo energy, which is the opposite of where Neptune is now, which Neptune now is connecting to spiritual worlds, that the health world has pretty much figured every little thing out. And it seems to be the spiritual, emotional work we do that is healing all of ourselves, not how many drugs you're taking or how many surgeries you get. It's finding the emotional stuff that is triggering these events, that is triggering these health problems, that is where we must fix ourselves now. That is spirituality that we must invest our time and our energy into to understand how this science works in our life. The same way in understanding, well, we know Mars is made of this carbon and this dioxide and this oxygen and this element, but what does that all mean? And in many ways, we have obsessed ourselves with every identification of this earth possible that we have forgotten the meaning of what is behind the identification of what it is materially and in every way possible of this whole entire reality. That it is time for us to step into realigning with the past and the time that we've been at before, and reawakening to new leaders and new situations and new energy that is involved with leadership of the heart, leadership of the one, leadership of the soul, leadership of the understanding of the identity, not because of what it is on the outside, but what is that you see from within. So thank you guys for listening to me. I just wanted to connect the dots that we're going through a crazy time. We're watching the same things happening of Rome, and I don't want to say it here on the channel and just say, well, look what happened to Rome. But in many ways, the identification of what we call a country, what we call a government, what we call all these things will eventually all change and be dust in the wind one day. It's a great song, by the way. And I'm not saying I know that timetable exactly when that'll happen. I mean, I kind of do, I'll be honest, but it's not time to pay attention to that. What it's time to pay attention to is the understanding that to grip yourself off this certain way it should be will only cause pain, as it is in the allowing of understanding with what comes beneath and what comes within, which is where our power is. So thank you for listening to me, and if you want to have a one-on-one reading, or if you want to watch my daily horoscopes or my weekly horoscopes, check out my YouTube channel, The Leo King. Thank you for all of your support, and I really appreciate it.